Baseball fans, how are you doing tonight? I'm not so great. My Red Sox dropped game 1 to the Braves. That's okay. We'll be back tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about tonight, everyone. We got Willson Contreras still in the news. We're going to talk about all of the reactions to that situation in St. Louis. The Oakland A's looking like they got themselves a new deal for a stadium. We're going to break that down. We got some injuries. Max Scherzer missing his start. Max Fried looking like he's going to be missing a good amount of time. The Mets have signed Gary Sanchez. Aaron Judge is back with the Yankees. The Yankees look good tonight. Let's get to it. Baseball fans, how you doing? Hello. Who do we have here in the chat? Lots of familiar faces here. Hope everyone's having a good start to their week. It's Tuesday. I'm tired today. I'm tired every day. I don't know how the heck I keep doing this, but here we are. We're back at it again. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got some news. It looks like the Oakland A's have finally got themselves a new stadium. We got... What else we got? My Red Sox losing to the Braves tonight. That's not a great way to start my week. We didn't have a game yesterday, so this was the start to my baseball week. And what can you do? They just didn't have it tonight. Ronald Acuna Jr. That guy is just so good. Sean Murphy, man, that guy is just so good. The Braves are so good, man. Oh man. How about the Rays? Wow, a team finally beat the Tampa Bay Rays. It feels like they just never lose. The Baltimore Orioles, man, they are quite good. They are quite good. Nicholas in the chat, thank you for coming out tonight. Do appreciate you. One of our great moderators here on the channel. Thank you so much. Speaking of the channel, I posted a video earlier today. I did a tier maker video on the home run celebrations for this year. I'll tell you, those home run celebrations, they're quite fun. I decided to rank them, and I think you should go check it out. It's a pretty fun video. I'm going to be honest with you. I enjoyed making that one. I'm going to try and do more tier maker videos this year. It seems like all of you at home like the tier maker videos, so I'm going to keep trying to do them. I did one a couple of years ago. It was on just jerseys. I think it was home jerseys. I can't remember. And I completely forgotten that I had done that video. And over the last couple of months, that video kind of picked back up in the algorithm again. And all of a sudden, it was getting kind of, I haven't checked on that video in a while, but it was getting kind of closer to around 10,000 views. And the last time I had checked it over a year ago, it was at not even 2,000. So I'm like, whoa, this video just picked up all of a sudden. So yeah, I'm probably going to do some more of those, the tier makers. They're just fun to do. I just enjoy doing them. Anyway, I'm just rambling here. Luke22, thank you for coming out, my friend, one of our members of the channel. Thank you so much. Don't forget, memberships are available if you do want to sign up for this year. SoundFX09 is also here in the chat. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. And everyone, like I said, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Oakland A's in the news. Willson Contreras. Everyone's talking Willson Contreras lately. I'm going to break this down. I've been listening to different reactions on Willson Contreras for the last day or two. And, I've kind of formulated my own opinion on it. And, with me, I always like to look at multiple lenses. I always like to hear different sides, different opinions before I really make my own. And I think I've got my own opinion, so I'll break that down. What else we got in here? Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez in the news. It's always fun when Gary Sanchez is in the news. So going to the Mets, we'll talk about that. Max Scherzer. dinged up yet again. I don't know. This is not looking like a great year for Max Scherzer. I'm starting to get a little worried here. Getting a little worried. Speaking of the Braves, Max Fried, he's going to be going on the IL for what looks like to be quite a bit of time, but it looks like he has avoided a pretty big scare. There were some fears that maybe Tommy John would have to be an option for him, but it looks like he has avoided that, so we'll talk about that. Speaking of Gary Sanchez, he opted out of his deal with the San Francisco Giants because they did not call him up, but the Giants called up a top prospect. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And we got Aaron Judge back with the Yankees. The Yankees look pretty good tonight. There's one guy on the A's, though. Speaking of the A's, had himself a pretty good game tonight. We'll go check out that game here in a little bit. But before I do get started, if anyone is new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. We are trying to get to 30K by the All-Star break. Everyone, we're within 400 subscribers. We're starting to get a little closer, everyone. So if you can help us out, help us get there, I'll love you forever. You know why I will always also love you forever? If you hit that like button for me, that will be absolutely fantastic. That helps us get out into the algorithm. YouTube loves that like button. I hate that they like the like button, but hey, what can you do? Hit the bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time. Even on a Tuesday night, I'm going live over here. Share the stream if you can. Help get some more people in here. Help get your mom in here, dad in here, grandma in here, your dog, whoever. Share the stream so they can all come and watch the show. Everyone, don't forget about our partnership with Sorare MLB. It is right now my favorite way to play fantasy baseball. Had myself a pretty decent weekend and got myself 2 rewards. If you haven't seen the short that I uploaded, I got 2 rewards from this past weekend. So go check out that short if you haven't already. But go check out Sorare MLB. Check out the link in the description below. And you can go ahead and get started. Go draft your team. The current tournament will be ending tomorrow night. And then Thursday, there will be a new tournament start. Or no, sorry, Thursday night it will be ending. And then Friday, the next tournament will be starting. So click the link down below. Go draft your team. Also, we are partners here with SeatGeek. Use my code HYDE. You get $20 off. And also sponsoring tonight's show, we have BetOnline, your #1 source for all your sports betting needs. If you bet on the Sixers tonight against my Celtics, well, you just won yourself a bit of cash. My goodness. The Bruins get knocked out. Now the Celtics are 1 game from elimination. My goodness, Boston sports. At least the Red Sox are doing well so far. Hopefully, maybe they can keep this up. But anyway, I'm rambling. Go check out BetOnline, your #1 source for all your sports betting needs, whether that's basketball, whether that's baseball, whether that's UFC. Eventually, football will be coming back. Whatever it is for your sports betting needs, check out BetOnline. Use the code BLEAV, BLEAV, and you get a 50% welcome bonus. All right, everyone, let's get to it here. So we're going to start off with Willson Contreras. And, actually, you know what? Do I want to start with Willson Contreras, or do I want to talk about the latest news? Let's hold on. I'm going to hold off on Willson Contreras here for just a little bit because I'm going to bring up the Oakland A's. It's looking like they got themselves a deal. Now, we all knew that it was likely they were going to be going to Las Vegas. Reports broke about a couple of weeks ago where it was looking more likely that they were going to be moving to Vegas and their time in Oakland was done. But it looks like now it's getting close to being official. So I got some notes on this, and because there's definitely some financial things that I had to write down just to make sure I got this right. But here are the deets. So as of right now, an agreement has been reached with Bally's Corporation for $1.5 billion. Now, it's not just going to be a new stadium being built. So this is where it gets a little complicated. So it's going to be built on the Las Vegas Strip. What they're going to be doing is, if I read this correctly, it looks like they're going to be tearing down the Tropicana Las Vegas Casino, and they're going to be rebuilding the stadium in that area, as well as a brand new hotel. The stadium, now also what was notable about that casino is they had scenes from quite a few movies filmed at that casino. Even scenes from The Godfather were filmed there. So, but they were sold last year. I guess they weren't really doing all that well, and so they got bought. But now it looks like they're just going to be getting rid of the whole thing. And so for the stadium, it's going to be a 35,000 seat stadium. It's going to have a retractable roof, and the hotel that I believe it's going to be right across the street. It's going to have 1,500 rooms. So the kind of what was going on here, why we hadn't really heard anything official, was the A's, they had originally, it looks like they had wanted to get a piece of land, about 49 acres worth of land that was going to be west of the Las Vegas Strip. And also, one more thing, I want to pull up the Las Vegas Strip for all of you, so that way you have just a visual of kind of what we're looking at here. So I was doing some reading, and it looks like some people are not a huge fan of the location. Now, I was reading a lot of comments on some Instagram posts, and the one thing I kept seeing was that traffic would probably be abysmal. Now, I don't have the best picture here, but you can basically get an idea of what the Las Vegas Strip looks like. It's just this whole thing right here, but this is where they're looking to make the stadium, and not too far away, you have the airport. So it's kind of like, I mean, when you got all this stuff here, these are all the casinos, all the hotels. So they're kind of in the beginning, or at least I think this is the beginning of it. And then as you get further up here, that's where you're starting to get like more like downtown kind of. But this is the Strip mainly. This is where the big Ferris wheel is. So anyway, it's looking like it's going to be right here. So they're going to be tearing this down. You're going to have the new stadium, and you're going to have a brand new hotel. And the one thing that was kind of worrying the Oakland A's is that they were wanting to get about $500 million, which was going to include tax credits as well as, I believe, public funding. But they weren't really getting that. They weren't really getting the deal that they wanted. So earlier today, or I believe it was earlier today, or possibly even last night, they started pivoting and talking, with different people about different locations in Vegas. And because they only had 28 days to get something together to file a proposal for Nevada lawmakers. So, and I guess they hold like a session where they can propose these like deals and whatnot to these lawmakers. And I think that only happens like once a year or so. Like, I guess you could have like special hearings and whatnot, but those are kind of hard to come by. So they were basically running out of time. They had less than a month to go. So this is where they just said, all right, we gotta go get this done. We got less than a month to go here. So let's go get this done. So there were some other sites that were possibly involved, but it looks like they have settled on this. So again, they're going to be tearing down the Tropicana Las Vegas Casino, and you're going to be getting the new stadium as well as a new hotel. The new hotel was, I guess, a big part of the deal. At the end of the day, all of this is about money, right? It's all about money. So, but I also think Major League Baseball, I think they just really wanted baseball to be in Vegas. Like, I think they were gung-ho about it. I don't think Major League Baseball, wanted to stay in Oakland. I really don't think that at all from the get-go. I think they wanted baseball in Vegas. I think they saw financially a better opportunity there. So I think that was a big part of it. Anyway, but this is pretty big news. Sure, we had heard that it was probably going to happen, that they were going to Vegas, but you also had to get a deal done as well. You had to get a site, agreed upon. You had to get all those fine details worked out, and they still have some work to do. So at least they have this done now. They got less than a month to just really work out all like the finer details and whatnot. So it's looking like we're going to be having baseball on the Las Vegas Strip. So, will we have name changes? I see you in the chat. Who just said that in the chat? Ratchet Dewan, do you think the A's will change their names too? At this point, I really don't know. I would think they would probably keep that name because it is it's a historical franchise. Like, it goes back for so long now. I would imagine they're going to keep the Athletics name, just like the Raiders. Like, the Raiders, that's like a historical franchise when it comes to football. Like, they've been around for so long, and they didn't change the name there. So I think the A's will stay. I think it's just going to be called the Las Vegas A's, honestly. Will they call it Las Vegas or Vegas? I don't know. But I would imagine, I wonder if they're going to change the colors. That's what I do wonder about. With the Las Vegas Raiders, they didn't change the colors at all. I wonder if they're going to maybe switch it up. That could be possible. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. No, that's a decent suggestion in the chat though. HXVAC. If they were to change the name, could you do the Jackpots? I mean, who knows? But no, I think they're going to be still the Las Vegas A's. I think that's definitely going to be around. So let's move on here. I'm sure we're going to get more details of this in the coming weeks. But this is pretty big news for tonight. Now, let's focus on Willson Contreras. Also, I forgot to get the music on. What is wrong with me? I swear I have such a problem with remembering to get the music turned on. Here we go. But everyone, if you can, while I'm getting this ready, hit that like button for me. I will greatly appreciate that. That it would be absolutely fantastic. Where is the music? Here we go. Alrighty, we're almost there. Okay. Here we go. So let's talk Willson Contreras. Everyone's talking Willson Contreras. And, I'm seeing different opinions. I'm seeing like, Willson Contreras, the guy was just not a good catcher. They should have done it. They should have done their homework on him and yada yada. Like, he shouldn't have even been the catcher to begin with. I've seen people say that, but I am starting to see more people start to side with Willson Contreras more because when you really think about it, I mean, the Cardinals couldn't have done this any better. Now, here's the one thing I will say with the whole thing. One show I have been listening to is Foul Territory, and I forget his name. I feel like I think he was on MLB Network, I think. And I don't remember his name, but I believe he's the host of the show now. And you have AJ Pierzynski on there as well. I mean, who better to talk to about this than AJ Pierzynski? So I was really listening to his opinions, and he really brought up a good point. He said, like, why did the Cardinals even have to make this a public thing? Like, you couldn't have just put him on the IL. You couldn't have, come up with like a phantom IL sort of couldn't come up with like a reason, like, his hamstring or something. I don't know. They couldn't come up with any sort of a reason to just put him on the IL. And then you can kind of, take that time to really kind of work with him on the side. Now, the argument against that would be that they really want to keep his bat in the lineup, right? So that's the one thing that's what you're going to get with Willson Contreras. You're going to get a pretty good bat. So I can see from the Cardinals' point of view where AJ Pierzynski, that's not a bad idea if you really wanted to work with him on his catching for the long term. But you're also, the offense had been struggling a bit. You don't want to take that. You don't want to take that bat out of the lineup. So that's the one thing I can argue with that when it comes to what AJ Pierzynski was saying. But he was basically saying that if there is a problem, right? If there's something going on, if they're not liking what they're seeing, you just got to sit down with them and talk to them about it. And I think they did. So there was some guys making some comments. Adam Wainwright, Jack Flaherty, they had said that they had to sit down with him. They talked with him and basically just said, hey, we're on your side, dude. We love having you here. We appreciate you being here. And Wainwright was saying he thinks that was kind of just something that he needed to hear a little bit. Because it just seems like there's just been just so much negativity going towards him. You got, once this got out, people, there were definitely those people out there that were really, starting to jump on Willson Contreras. And, I wasn't really jumping on him, but more I pointed out that he has never really been known for his game calling. Now, I listened to Ben Verlander too, and one thing he was saying, he was kind of really criticizing the Cardinals, but at the same time, when it comes to Willson Contreras, there has been some issues with his game calling. It hasn't really been like this full-blown thing about him, but there's just been little things here and there. Like last year, the Houston Astros, they had a trade worked out for him, but they didn't want to bring him in because they didn't want to mess with the chemistry, so instead, what they did, they just pivoted to Christian Vasquez, who is known for great game calling, who's also known for good defense. So I thought that was a big sign that the Astros did that. I mean, I don't know. To me, just the proof's in the pudding right there. And then the Astros go on to win a World Series. But Dusty Baker, it wasn't that he didn't like Willson Contreras as a player, but he just didn't want the mojo to be messed with. So I see where Ben Verlander is coming from, pointing out Willson Contreras was with the Chicago Cubs in 2016. He's part of a World Series team. But also, don't forget, Ben Verlander, I need you to kind of remember this. You also had David Ross on that team. David Ross was very good with pitchers. How do I know that? Because he was with the Red Sox in 2013. David Ross was a huge part of that team. So, when these guys are, working with the pitchers, when, in between games, they're sitting down, they're going over scouting reports. I guarantee you David Ross was kind of leading those meetings. And you also had these veteran guys on that pitching staff, John Lester. John Lester did not want to work with anyone else but David Ross. Like, that was like, those two were connected at the hip. You had, Jake Arrieta there. You had Kyle Hendricks there. So, sure, I see where Verlander is coming from, pointing out that he was with the 2016 Cubs. But Ben, listen, you got to remember David Ross was on that team. You got to remember that, man. Like, that's a huge part that you kind of left out. Come on. So anyway, a lot of hate, going towards Willson Contreras, but a lot of criticism going towards the St. Louis Cardinals. And I think, to me, really, what's going on here, what I really honestly think about this whole thing, I really think it's just a perfect storm. Like, I really think it's just, there's not one reason to point out what's going on here. I think it's a multitude of reasons. Andrew Kisner also talked about this. He's now going to be the catcher for the Cardinals. And he mentioned that, first off, the Cardinals, when it comes to like scouting reports and whatnot, when it comes to like preparation for games, it's also just a little thing with just working with like a new system, even just new software, right? There's just a learning curve when it comes to going to a new organization. And I also think, but this is where the organization comes into play too, where this is an organization that had Yadier Molina. So did they maybe have unfair expectations, right? Did they, this is an organization where you didn't have to worry about Yadier Molina for so many years. And now all of a sudden you got to worry about the game calling more. So did that maybe have something a little to do with it? Possibly, I think so. He also mentions that they had a new pitching coach. So that could be something, right? Where you got even a new set of ears, a new voice in there where maybe he wants to give his opinions. Again, you have different scouting reports you're dealing with when you're Willson Contreras. You're going from the Cubs to the Cardinals. You're working with new scouting reports. You're working with new software. You're working with new philosophies. You're working with different mindsets. It's a whole thing. Like, there's this whole thing going on. And I think for him, it's personally, sure, he had spring training and whatnot to really work on some things, but come on now, like, this is just, come on. You're going to need a little bit more than a month, I think, personally. Now, but I also understand where the Cardinals are coming from, too. They're losing a lot of games. They got to get back on track. they got to do something. And if that wasn't working, they had to make an audible there. So I understand where the Cardinals are coming from too, because if they were winning games and if they, and it was a bit of a problem, but they were still able to find ways to win games and their record looked a bit different, I guarantee you Willson Contreras would still be the catcher. But you are at a point now where your record is bad and you're falling more and more behind in the standings. As a team, you got to make a move. And if that was an issue, and I'm not putting the blame on Willson Contreras, but either way, it's still an issue, no matter who to blame. So you got to do something about it. So to me, I understand where the Cardinals are coming from with wanting to shift to Andrew Knizner, who was more in tune with the pitching staff, with the way they did things. I respect the move, honestly. Now, when it comes to Willson Contreras, I do think he is going to need some more time, to really adjust to everything here. You also have to remember this too with Willson Contreras. Sure, he stayed behind in spring training, and I also think that was a big thing that I think gets overlooked a little bit. Is this guy actually stayed back in spring training, and I think that was I think that's very applaudable. For him to not. Sure, it would have been great to go play for his country, but he understood too. He just signed a big deal with a franchise. It was probably best for him to stay back. He wanted to, work with the Cardinals, work with these pitchers as much as possible. But you also have to remember too, the Cardinals had a lot of players go play in the World Baseball Classic. They had 6 pitchers. You had Miles Mikolas. You had Wainwright. Well, Wainwright hasn't pitched, but you had Mikolas. You had Giovanni Gallegos. You had Genesis Cabrera, Andre Pilanti. I think I said that right. Jojo Romero. So there are some pitchers here that you maybe weren't quite in tune with. Miles Mikolas. This is a guy who, he has been struggling. This year, he's looked, I guess, a little better lately, but he didn't have a normal spring training, and look how awful he was out of the gate. And then Willson Contreras is playing catch up with him, So there's just a lot of things here. And I'm not going to blame Willson Contreras at all. I mean, I think just give the guy a little bit more time, I think it's going to end up smoothing over. I don't know. And AJ Pierzynski also made another point. At the end of the day, sure, the catcher is a big part of it, but at the end of the day, the guy that's going to win a conversation between the pitcher and the catcher during a game is the pitcher. That guy is going to have the final say. If that guy wants to throw a fastball, he's got the ball in his hand. He's going to throw the fastball, right? The catcher will just try to give his best opinion or what he thinks is the best possible pitch in a certain situation. And but at the end of the day, the pitcher's pitching. He's got the ball. If he wants to make the call, he's going to do it. All right. Now, there's other guys, like Mark Burley. That guy moves so quick because he would just look at the whatever sign the catcher put down and he would just do it. Right. Mark Burley was a guy who didn't want to think. Right. He just saw the pitch. He saw the sign and he just did it. Right. But there also are pitchers out there that they think a certain pitch to a certain hitter in a certain spot is going to be better. So I will always remember Curt Schilling. I believe the year was 2006. It was in Oakland. Speaking of Oakland, he had a no-hitter going, right? Jason Varitek, they were throwing like a perfect, it was not a perfect game, but they were throwing a no-hitter, but they were basically throwing just a perfect game, a perfect game plan. And Curt Schilling in the 9th inning shook him off. And then he gave up a base hit. And then Curt Schilling said, that's the first time all day that I shook him off and I gave up the base hit and lost the no-hitter. So, Curt Schilling, he listened to his catcher, Jason Varitek, one of the most respected catchers of all time, and he lost his no-hitter. Not saying that's on Jason Varitek, but I'm just saying Schilling, if he wanted, it's just funny where he shook him off, right? And but he made the call, right? He made the call at the end of the day. He could have listened to Varitek, right? And hey, he paid the price. I still remember that game. I remember it was a day game. Schilling had like longer hair at that time. It was like, oh, he was just mowing down that lineup that year. But anyway, I think honestly the whole thing with this Willson Contreras situation, I think it's just a perfect storm. I think the guy just needs a little more time. Like when you're a catcher, man, like this is why you see a lot of catchers now in the minor leagues. They're in the minors longer now. Like, sure, some of these top prospect catchers, yeah, maybe they can come up a little quicker. But you are seeing where these guys are just spending more time in the minor leagues. Because catching, I was never a catcher, but just the amount of work that goes into it. You're not just playing defense. You're not just going up to the plate. You're also just learning different pitch sequences. You're learning different scouting reports. You're learning different tendencies. Catchers, man, they are, what's the term? What's the phrase? It's such a, it's such an underappreciated job, right? Like to me, like, and a perfect example of this, perfect example. If you didn't see my video, I posted a video a couple of days ago, the best player on each team. This is how I know that catchers are underappreciated, right? Because for the Atlanta Braves, the player that I went with for the best player right now was Sean Murphy, right? Statistically, on Fangraphs, when you account offense and defense, Sean Murphy has the higher Fangraph WAR. But there were so many people in the comments saying, nah, like you got to go Ronald Acuna Jr. That shows perfectly how underappreciated catchers are. Like Sean Murphy is doing such a good job with the Braves. People, like a lot of people, they only think of hitting. But like, dude, you got to pay attention to the defense, and especially catchers. Like, they're doing so much back there, man. Again, such an underappreciated job. And that was clearly just the comments that I was getting with Ronald Acuna Jr. That completely proved that, right? You got to appreciate catchers and what they do. Like, man, first off, they're sitting back there squatting behind home plate for a whole 9 innings. My goodness, thank goodness for the pitch clock, because these guys, their knees are just wearing down, man. Like they're just popping a squat back there for how long? Man, God, we got to appreciate catchers a little more. Can we start this? Can we start to appreciate catchers? I'm going to challenge all of you at home. I know some of you do, but for some of you, I'm really going to have you go home and, really think about it. Catchers, they do a lot. They do more than you think. Anyway, I think the Cardinals, I think they just got to give him some more time. I really do think that. I'm not going to put any blame on him. But one thing I will also point out with the Cardinals, is it me, or has there just been kind of like a lot of weird stuff going on with the Cardinals this year, right? You got this. You had the Tyler O'Neill thing. You had Jordan Walker getting sent down, right? Now, Jordan Walker, the one thing I want to point out with Jordan Walker, yeah, he had the hit streak going. And Ben Verlander was talking about this too. Ben, you gotta kind of dig a little more into the numbers. Ben Verlander, I'm going to challenge you. Dig a little more into the numbers. Stop paying attention to Shohei Ohtani so much. Do a little more research. But Jordan Walker, this is a guy where he had the hit streak, but the guy really it was a low batting average during that hit streak. I think it was under 200. I really do. I think, now that I think about it, I think his batting average was under 200. Now, I think it was like a 185 or so. Like, sure, it's historic that he was, doing what he was doing. I actually would love to pull up the numbers. I think it was Ted Williams and Eddie Murphy, I think, who he passed on the most hits to start a career. I'd like to actually see... I'm going to actually go do that later. After this stream, I'm going to go take a look at what their batting averages were through their hit streaks. And Jordan Walker, again, Jordan Walker was getting hit, but he wasn't getting multiple hits in the game. He was going like 1 for 4, 1 for 5, So, I don't know. Jordan Walker, I think the guy's great, but the Cardinals, they just felt like, hey, you know what? This guy, they wanted him to work a little bit more on a couple of things. And instead of trying to do it in the majors, why not just go do it in the minors for a little bit? Sure, there's the argument that, work on it at the major league level, but I don't know. I don't know. I think there's an argument to where maybe they thought he was just he was pressing a little bit up there, and maybe they just wanted to kind of give him a breather, have him go back down. I can see both arguments there. So either way, it doesn't matter. Jordan Walker is going to end up being really good. But my point is that the Cardinals they've been in the news a lot, which is really weird because the Cardinals are never in the news. Like, they're just always a pretty quiet organization until they just go on like a 17-game win streak, or they just like get on fire heading into the playoffs and they win the World Series in 2006 and 2011, right? But when it comes to like drama, the Cardinals, negative drama, they're never really in the news. They usually they're in the news for more positive things, right? Trading for Nolan Arenado a couple of years ago. I don't know what's going on in St. Louis, but taking a look at tonight's game, they did win. So, hey, they're picking up some wins. Here. So let's actually go take a look at the Cardinals' schedule. So, yesterday, I think they won yesterday, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, they won yesterday. So, hey, look at that, everyone. They've won 3 straight games. I'm just saying. Now you got one more against the Cubs. And you got my Red Sox this weekend. That's going to be fun. Red Sox Cardinals. Always love me a Red Sox Cardinals matchup. But hey, they're winning some games here. They've won 3 in a row. And hey, maybe this move, maybe they're going to end up having the last laugh here. But when it comes to the Cardinals, they are obviously still really far back in this division. So taking a look now, National League. Here we go. So, but this is doable. It's completely doable here. They're 8 back in the division. Who knows what the Pirates are? I thought the Pirates were for real. And I don't know. I have the kiss of death. Every time I say something good about a team, they just start to stink. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. But right now, they're 8 back. They're 6.5 back in a wild card. It's not even halfway through May. I mean, they got plenty of time for this. They can absolutely turn this around. So, people people just love to go people love to be just so dramatic. It's like, can we just calm down? Take a breath. I know, 13-24. That's not looking very good, but let's say they start winning series after series after series. I'm not saying going on a win streak, but let's say they start putting together series wins for the next 10 series in a row. And all of a sudden, they're maybe like a game or two above 500. And next thing you know, maybe a month later, maybe they're like 8 games over 500 at that point. Then it's maybe 10, maybe 12, right? Slowly but surely, they can put this together. Now, if it was August and they're here, well then yeah, it's done. Then you're done. It's time to sell. Or July, it's time to sell. It's time to start making trades, give up on the season. It's over. It's May. Come on. Calm down. It's okay. My goodness. But moving on here. Again, I think the Cardinals, give them some time. Let's talk the New York Mets. Ugh. Another tough day for the New York Mets here. Another tough day. Losing to the Reds. They're now 2 games under 500. Again, there's still plenty of time. I think the Mets are going to be okay. But the big story today out of Queens, well, we got 2 stories out of Queens here. And the first one, now the guy that started today for the Mets was David Peterson. He was called up because Max Scherzer had his start skipped today. So he's having neck spasms. He had a stiff neck this past weekend. And he woke up yesterday feeling even worse. And today it wasn't really any better. So this is the thing with Scherzer, man. Like, Scherzer, listen, I mean, the Mets, I really liked what the Mets had for this year. I love Scherzer and Verlander on paper. I think the lineup sure could use another bat, but I still like the lineup. I thought the bullpen, even though you lost Edwin Diaz, I thought the bullpen was still capable of doing really well. Maybe even make a trade at the deadline and, make up for that Edwin Diaz loss. But the one thing about Scherzer that is every single year, I feel like if I were to look at Scherzer going back, I feel like it's the last 3 years or so, 4 years even, he just misses starts. He doesn't necessarily get really bad injuries, but he'll miss starts, right? So if you go back 2019, remember he was dinged up a little bit during that time. 2020, he did make all of his starts, but that was a short season. So 21, remember with the Dodgers, he did make 30 starts, but remember the dead arm, right, in the playoffs, right? So that came up. Last year, he missed some time, right? Now he's, again, just dinged up. This is something with Scherzer every year. Going back for a while, 2018, he put together a run there making 30-plus starts, but 2019, that's when you really started to see. 2020, he got back to 30 starts in 21, but remember that 2020 season, it was shortened, so maybe that kind of helped his body out a little bit. But now ever since, but then he had the dead arm at the end of 21. He missed starts last year. Now I'm wondering, is this going to end up being a problem? This is when you think of the neck, right? The neck, it connects with the trap, right? The trap will connects with the shoulder. The shoulder, everything all connects, right? You got the scapula back there. He was saying he doesn't think it has anything to do with, because he was having stuff going on with his scapula and and his shoulder and whatnot. He says it's not related. It's all related, man. It's all connected, right? Neck, trap, shoulder, scapula, it's all together, right? So that definitely can linger. Now I'm not a pitcher by any means, but I definitely have issues with, I hurt my neck about 4 months ago now. I hurt my neck so bad to the point where I had no feeling in my arm. I couldn't feel my thumb. I had no strength in my arm. You don't want to mess with that. When your trap is all tightened up, it really kind of jacks your shoulder up, and you can't really get your shoulder into a good position. Your scapula's all out of whack. So to me, I'm sorry, something with the neck that worries me a little bit. That's the one thing the pitcher needs. He needs his arm, and if something's going on in this area, I'm sorry, it worries me, man. And he's saying after he got treatment for it, and he still wasn't feeling all that great. I don't know. I'm wondering if we're maybe going to see here maybe an IL stint. We'll see how he does over the next few days, but I'm sorry. That worries me. If it was a hamstring or, yeah, fine. But I don't know, man. I don't know. So keep your eyes out for this. He's not getting any younger. But the Mets were also in the news, signing Gary Sanchez, one of my favorite players of all time. I mean, come on. Gary Sanchez, the brick wall behind home plate. The Yankees, I don't know, man. The Yankees, they held on to this guy for so long. I don't know what the heck they were doing. They thought this guy, listen, man, Gary Sanchez, when this guy gets hot, I've said this a million times. When this guy gets hot, he can hit balls to just the freaking moon, but he has not really been doing much. Last year with the Twins, and then he signed with the Giants in the offseason. In his career, has over 150 home runs. The slugging is a 467, which, for a career slugging, that's actually not too bad. But last year in Minnesota, he had 16 home runs, but man, look at the strikeouts. Look at the walks. Man, 136 strikeouts to 40 walks. That's just so bad. So bad. And then he signed with the San Francisco Giants in the offseason, but the deal was if he wasn't on the major league team by May 1st, then he can opt out of the deal. Well, the Giants, Didn't make a phone call. It was May 2nd, and he said, all right, I'm out of here. And, I mean, honestly, why would the Giants call him up? He was hitting 164. He had no home runs in the minor leagues. He had 8 RBIs in AAA Sacramento. But why would you want to keep this guy? Why would you even think about putting him on the team? It's not like the Giants are out of it. The Giants, when you're looking at, they're 5.5 back in this division. Now, I don't think they're going to be winning this division. They're 4 under 500. They're 3 back in the wild card right now. I mean, what's the point of putting Gary Sanchez on your team? There's really no point to do it. Now, for the Mets, the one thing with the Mets, let's actually go to Fangraphs here. Let's get away from the Las Vegas Strip. Let's go to Fangraphs, and let's go take a look at the team batting stats. Now, they had Omar Narvaez. Now, I think this is an underrated guy for the Mets, and unfortunately, he's having some issues with the leg, and he's going to be on the IL for a little bit. I don't think he's going to be ready to come off of it until June. And so for Gary Sanchez, they figured, all right, well, we know what this guy can do. We know what he can do offensively if he gets himself right. So if we take a look at the offensive numbers when it comes to catchers, right now, the New York Mets are 29th, a negative 11.9. Their catchers this year were hitting 183 with a 226 on base, a 226 slugging. They had an ISO percentage of 0.43. That is abysmal. They're getting nothing from their catchers. They're walking 5% of the time. That's atrocious. I mean, my goodness. They're getting no offense. So for the Mets, it's like kind of why not? It's an incentive deal. If he makes the team, if he ends up getting called to the major leagues, he gets a $1.5 million salary, and he can also earn up to $1.2 million in incentives. So, but I mean, he's basically, you're signing him to the minimum, right? I mean, why not? Why not? See if maybe you can work something out with him, get him going in the minors, and who knows? Maybe this guy could end up being a feel-good story, comes up to the majors, gets completely red hot. Could you imagine he saves the New York Mets? That'd be hilarious. But for the Mets right now, it's not looking great. I mean, I think they're fine. It's early for the Mets. I think the Braves right now, it's looking like this is the Braves division to lose at this, unless the Mets or the Phillies or maybe even the Marlins get red hot. I don't know. The Braves to me are just so good. But the Mets, they absolutely are capable of winning a wild card. I know people want to, just say it's doomsday in Queens. I don't think that at all. Yeah, they're going through injuries right now. They're not at their best. They're not at their strongest. So let's see what they can do. Speaking of the Atlanta Braves, we got some news here with Max Fried. And this morning, Mark Bowman, he did report that Max Fried, he left his start early the other day, and he did have an MRI, did not have any concerns with Tommy John, so that's a good sign. So, but the Braves still don't expect this to be a short-term absence. He's going to be shut down from throwing while his forearm heals, and while there's no concrete timeline, it's likely to be long enough that he'll need to build back up from scratch. That sounds to me, at least after the All-Star break, you're probably going to take maybe a few weeks off. I would think maybe 2 weeks off from throwing. So you're probably looking at, let's just say June before he starts throwing again. And then you're going to be probably looking at a rehab assignment, to build back up those innings. I would imagine they're probably going to hold off on him until after the All-Star break, because you get that, obviously you get the break too for a little more time. So that's when I'm thinking you're probably going to see Max Fried again. Now, if we go take a look at the Braves, I mean, we're talking about how good this Braves team is. But this Braves rotation, I think, is completely capable of holding down the fort until he is back. Now, it is looking a little thin, but Strider and Elder, these guys have just been carrying this rotation. Strider has been fantastic. Morton looked good tonight against my Red Sox. So, you're probably going to call some other guys up. They did call up Danny Young to take his roster spot. So, down in the minors, would be darn it, I'm going blank on the name now. The guy they sent to the Oakland A's. I'm going blank. But, you do have maybe some other guys in the minors that you could possibly call up. Soroka. What's going on with him? You got Jared Schuster down here. What's going on with these guys? I haven't heard anything about Soroka. So, Soroka's next start, this is back in April. Next start with AAA has been pushed back from Tuesday to Sunday. That was back on April 24th. I don't know what's going on with him. So far, this year, he started 5 games. ERA of 5.23, a FIP of 3.44. So, I don't know. Kyle Muller. That's who it was. Thank you. Thank you in the chat, Brandon and James. I appreciate that. Kyle Muller. I was going completely blank on that name. So, SoundFX09, what do you have to say here? The Braves have Morton, Elder, and Strider. Other options are Dodd, Schuster, and hopefully tomorrow. Oh, is Soroka returning tomorrow? Is that happening? I mean, I'm looking at Soroka here. Okay, so I'm not seeing any concrete news. Door is open for Soroka to return to the majors. I mean, why not? Why not have him come back? I don't know. Let's go take a look here at his stats. Let's go take a look at his game log. I mean, man, this guy hasn't thrown a pitch in the major leagues now for how long? When was the last time this guy threw a pitch? Where can I see his game log? Do they not show the game log here? What are you doing? I need a game log. What is happening? What a cute dog this is, but I don't want to be looking at the cute dog. I want to look at my computer is freezing. What is going on right now? This is awful. I don't know what is happening. Well, all right, everyone. I don't know what's going on here. Google Chrome is not working. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Here we go. Hold on a second, everyone. My computer's freaking out on me. Hold on. All right, are we good? My computer today, I think I got to do some updates. I think I skipped the updates. All right, here we go. Mike Soroka. All right, we're back in business, everyone. We're back in business. Well, I'm glad my streaming software didn't just completely just kick the bucket. All right, here we go. Minors. There we go. All right, so let's look at the game log. Why are there no game logs available? I'm sorry, everyone. I'm trying here. I can't see anything. Anyway, but the FIP didn't look all that bad for Mike Soroka. Could you possibly see him get a start? I mean, why not? Why not? When you're looking at what he can do, I mean, this guy was so good. So good. The last time he had pitched in the major leagues was, well, that's the minors. So I think it was 2019, right? Oh, no, it was 2020. That's when he got hurt. So, yeah. It's been a few years now. So hopefully we can see him back soon. Man, that would be a great story, man, when he comes back. Also, Liam Hendriks. Liam Hendriks is in the news. He is officially on a rehab assignment. That's awesome stuff, man. That's awesome stuff. Liam Hendriks, absolutely fantastic. So, also, everyone, you know what's coming up soon? I'm starting to see some articles pop up, and it's starting to kind of get me a little excited. The MLB draft. Oh, I got to start some coverage on the draft soon. I'm thinking maybe in like June, I'm going to start off some draft stuff. Give me like a few weeks to try and get some ideas together. I really want to, one thing I really want to do? I want to do some redrafts. That would be fun to me. I would love to do that. So MLB.com, they already have a redraft here of the 2013 draft. I'd love to do that. I'd love to go through just all these different seasons, man, because I love those. I always love those, imagining players, getting drafted to different teams. Like, imagine if Mike Trout went number 1 overall to the Washington Nationals. That would have been absolutely crazy. So, my screen is black. Why is my screen black? What is going on over here? What is that? Why? I'm floating in the abyss. What is going on right now? Why is my screen not showing? Hold on. What is happening right now? Well, I got no screen. This is awful. I'm floating in the abyss. I don't know what to do. I mean, look, I'm just moving around here. I'm in a black hole. Oh boy. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can figure this out. Man, I've never had that happen before. What is going on? That's never happened. In all of my time doing streaming, I have never had at all. I've never had that happen. So I don't even know what to do. Ooh, did we fix it? Oh, I think I fixed it. Oh, I think we got it. Yes. All right, here we go. All right. Let's see. Are we good? Yay, we're back in business. We're back in business. There we go. There we go. All righty. So, let's get to it. What was I talking about? Yeah, so I would love to do some MLB redrafts. They got something here on MLB.com. I'm definitely going to have to take a look at that one. So, but let's talk about a couple other news. Speaking of the Giants, we were just talking about Gary Sanchez opting out of his deal with the Giants and then signing with the Mets. But the Giants, did they play today? Or are they playing right now? What is going on? Are they... Where are we? Oh, that's May 10th. So... here we go. So they're up right now. They're up 3-1 against the Nationals. But they called up their top prospect, Casey Schmidt. Or not their top prospect. One of their top prospects. So he is not in the top 100. But I think he's their number 3. No, he's their number 4. So Casey Schmidt. This is a guy, he's going to be, Gabe Kapler was talking about it, and in the minor leagues, he was playing multiple positions. He's mainly a third baseman, but he's played short, he's played second, so Gabe Kapler was saying he's probably going to be moving all around, but he's definitely going to be getting a lot of playing time. So, taking a look at Casey Schmidt, his stats down in the minors were all right. This year in AAA, over 32 games, he was hitting .313 with a .352 on base. The slugging was .410. I'd like for that to be a little bit higher. He had 10 doubles. He only had 1 home run. Last year, he had 21 home runs, so I'm not sure what was going on there. He had 28 strikeouts compared to 8 walks. So, Casey Schmidt, this is a guy, a lot of Giants fans have been really excited about him for a while. He was drafted in 2020. He was in that during that COVID year. So he was in the second round, and he's made his way up pretty quick in the minor leagues. So right now, he is in the lineup. He's batting 7th tonight, and he is, as of right now, 1 for 2, and he has an RBI tonight. So making himself a pretty good debut with the San Francisco Giants at home. So, hey, we're getting a lot of prospects, man. I love seeing all the youth coming up. Grayson Rodriguez, like with the Orioles, that guy's going to be so good. We're seeing, Masataka Yoshida he's technically a rookie, but I don't know. To me, he's not really like a rookie. Whatever. If you want to call him a rookie, he's looking great. I think his hit streak came to an end tonight. That's sad. Just seeing just all these younger guys, coming up to the majors. It's just fun to watch. So, Jordan Walker, we were just talking about him earlier. But let's get back to talking about some not guys that have gotten hurt, but we have one guy coming back. And speaking of Gary Sanchez, yet again, I mean, we got to talk about the Yankees. And hey, Aaron Judge back in the lineup, and it looks like the Yankees have been missing Aaron Judge. Now, I know they're playing Oakland, but 10 runs tonight. They had a 5-run third inning, scored a couple more in the 5th and the 7th. Looks like Gleyber Torres had himself a good game, 2 for 5, had the home run, a few RBIs. Hey, look at Bowers here. You know, when this guy's not running into walls, he's doing pretty good. Had a home run tonight, 3 RBIs. However, I want to give a shout out to Jordan Diaz. This guy had 3 home runs tonight. There's not a whole lot going on with the Oakland A's right now. They're going to Vegas. They're going to be on the Strip. But if they got Jordan Diaz playing like this, they're going to be selling some tickets. This guy had 3 home runs tonight. Are you kidding me? Good grief. But the big story, for the Yankees at least, is you had Aaron Judge back in the lineup tonight. Had a couple of RBIs. Scored a run in this one. To me, the Yankee lineup, they have not been good. Going back to when Judge, he played before tonight, his last game was on April 27th. Since then, the Yankees were 25th in offense. They were 23rd in WRC+. They were 12th in ISO percentage, so they were still hitting a lot of extra base hits, but they weren't getting these guys home. And they were only 23rd in runs scored. Over that time, they were hitting 229 with a 285 on base and a 398 slugging. So they really needed Aaron Judge back in this lineup. This lineup is nothing without Judge. Sure, they got a couple of guys that can do some things, but Judge isn't just the best player on that team. He's the glue that just holds it all together. So glad to see, as a Red Sox fan, I'm not glad to see it, but hey, this is a series here. The Yankees, they've been a little sluggish here to start things off, but this is a series here that they kind of needed. Getting Judge back, it's a feel-good win. And hey, Yankee fans, you got to be happy after this one. I know you want to see some better action against some better teams, but hey, sometimes maybe a series like this is what you need. So, but speaking of teams that are playing great, how about the Baltimore Orioles, man? Hey, you know what I was thinking about here today? I was thinking about this. You know what I would love? How about an Orioles-Braves World Series? They had a pretty competitive series this past weekend. Man, could you imagine that being the World Series? That'd be awesome. I would love to see that, man. This Orioles team, man. I know the Rays are the favorites right now. I know they're looking pretty good. But hey, Grayson Rodriguez tonight looks like he had himself a pretty decent game looking at the score. But Adley Rutschman had a home run. Franco, Walls. I'm going to be honest. Taylor Walls, is this guy the most underrated player in the game right now? This guy is doing really well. A lot of the attention is on Wander Franco, is on Randy Arozarena. But Taylor Walls is quietly having a really, really good year. Hitting 265. He's got a 365 on base. The slugging is no, that's the last 30. But over the whole season, he's got a 542 slugging. Taylor Walls is a really underrated guy. So, I don't know, man. I think this guy needs to get a little bit more appreciation. I know Franco and Arozarena are fantastic, but please, we need to give a little more love to Taylor Walls. But Adley Rutschman, this guy gets a lot of love. I love Adley Rutschman. But taking a look at the box score here tonight, Eflin, he didn't pitch bad. He didn't pitch great. Gave up 4 runs, but he went 6 innings. So, but for Grayson Rodriguez, he went into the 6th inning, 5 2/3, 2 runs allowed, give up the 2 home runs. But hey, the fact that he kind of held his own against the Rays and what this team has been doing, hey, you got to love that as an Orioles fan, man. I'm telling you, this Orioles team is good. I saw a good team coming into this year. I just really wasn't sure what they were going to do, because I figured they would be a little better than last year. But right now, they're looking great. This team looks just very well-rounded. They got a great bullpen, a solid offense, good pitching. I mean, man, I think another starting pitcher I think would do wonders for this team. Honestly, if they're in this kind of same shape at the deadline, I really think they should go after a starting pitcher. I don't think they should break the bank. I don't think they should be going like crazy, giving up, good prospects. They've built up this farm system so well, but I definitely think they should make, some kind of a deal. I'm just saying, man, this Orioles team, if you're an Orioles fan, you got to be excited. But everyone, I think I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to wrap things up. I got to work in the morning. It's 11:20 here on the East Coast. If you are new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. Help us get to 30K by the All-Star break. Everyone, on your way out, hit the like button, hit the bell notification for me, share the stream for all of those that could not get in here tonight. But everyone, I'm out of here. Also, don't forget about our sponsors for the show tonight. We got Sorare MLB. Click the link down below in the description. Go draft your team. We got a tournament coming up on Friday. Go draft your team. Go see if you can beat me in the upcoming tournament this weekend. Don't forget about SeatGeek, $20 off. Use my code HYDE. Don't forget about BetOnline, your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Use the code BLEAV, BLEAV. Get a 50% welcome bonus. Everyone, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good rest of your night. I'll probably be back here on Thursday. I'm probably going to do a Q&A and hot takes as well, so look out for that. Look out for the community tab. Go follow me on Twitter as well. I'll be posting on both of those to get all of your questions and your hot takes, and we'll share some of them on Thursday. But everyone, have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.